Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Karkadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders again before them. It taught us this truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers pushing the word in truth and in sincerity. The hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right. So this is a World War III daily update. My name is Joshua Wan. And this is Isaiah 13 and 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Against who? Against Babylon. All right. Which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight. And let's read the NLT. Look, I will stir up the Medes against Babylon, as Russians against the United States, EU, NATO, all right, and whoever else is attacking Russia right now. They cannot be tempted by silver or bribed with gold, all right? I'm going to make this quick. Let's just get an update. This is Military and Foreign Affairs Network, February 18th, which is today. Ukraine to evacuate Kiev if Russians move towards capital. That's significant, all right? That is significant action. Let's see what the voice of reason has.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Wanted to do a special update this February 18th, 2022. We have intel coming in on the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine, and it would appear that preparations are being made by the Ukrainians to evacuate the capital city of Kiev. So as we know, tensions are continuing to escalate. We're hearing reports that fighting is now occurring on a fairly wide scale and higher intensity in the eastern separatist areas. We have not seen a Russian move across the border as of yet in other areas. However, with that being said, it does appear that at least an operational plan is in place for Kiev to be evacuated. So Kiev is a huge city, roughly 3 million people in its metropolitan area. As you can see here on the map, I'm looking at Kiev right now. So it is a city that is divided by the Dnieper River. So you have East Kiev on the east bank, and then obviously the larger part of the city on the west bank. So what does this mean if the Ukrainians are looking to evacuate Kiev, with the exception, mind you, of individuals of the armed forces and necessary public works individuals? So what does that mean? That means, in all probability, that the Ukrainian military has decided not to declare Kiev a open city. So what is an open city? So in all likelihood, in other conflicts, we have seen some cities get declared an open city to prevent them from being shelled and or bombed. We saw that in World War II with Paris and some other cities that in which the local inhabitants decided to capitulate and allow the opposing force to move into said city. Now
that's significant right there. Right? An open city. Right? He said something. He equated this to World War II. You can't let that just slip by. Basically, he's saying this is World War III. I'm going to take it back a little. Listen to what he's saying closely. Okay? Because the Nazis were just ran up in France and were like, hey, we're good here. This is a neutral zone, basically.
That in which the local inhabitants decided to capitulate and allow.
Listen to the language.
That in which the local inhabitants decided to.
Take it back just a little. Okay, listen close.
We saw that in World War II.
That's what I want right there. Take it right here. Listen.
So what is an open city? So in all likelihood, in other conflicts, we have seen some cities get declared an open city to prevent them from being shelled and or bombed. We saw that in World War II with Paris and some other cities that in which the local inhabitants decided to capitulate and allow the opposing force to move into said city. Now, it would appear that the Ukrainian military is not going to declare Kiev an open city. It is going to try to get the innocent inhabitants out of the city, evacuate the city, and then allow the military to fight in and around Kiev, which, quite frankly, is going to cause a significant amount of destruction. I'm not sure how the Ukrainians are going to relocate 3 million people, or the better part of 3 million people, and how that is going to look. But it sounds like right now there is at least a operational plan in place to evacuate Kiev at some point if and when the Russian military crosses the border and lays and quite possibly at some point lays siege to Kiev. So, is that feasible? Is it really possible that they could evacuate Kiev? I guess it is. It would take some time to get 3 million people, inhabitants, out of Kiev, and it's just something that I don't envision that they probably see it happening, but it does sound like that is at least a plan that they are looking at instituting if and when this actually happens and or occurs. Again, it has not happened yet. We are still watching things very, very closely. There are a lot of movements going on right now.
Okay, good enough. You see where this thing is going. Okay. You see where it's going. I guess the time for talking is over. Now movements are being made. If you got a plan to extricate all of what, 3 million? Woo! That's huge. All right, so that's good enough. That's a good enough update. All right, let's see what happens between now and next week. Let me check a couple of these other channels real quick. Military leaks. 52 minutes ago, Russia blocks Black Sea. If you enter, you get destroyed. 3 hours. NATO began the deployment of large units near the borders of Transnistria. And this is 6 hours. Russian missile cruisers drove NATO ships away from the exercise zone in the Mediterranean Sea. So I believe all the way up until the 20th, Russia's still under the guise of team spirit, or what they call exercises, war games, if you will. So, I mean, and they let everybody know that they were doing that. Okay, so let's go to carrier pigeon. Slovakia. 20 hours ago, the Ukrainian army attacked the critical border. Russian air defenses couldn't stop Ukraine. Sounds like war. Let's see. I think Deep Journal is up and running 8 seconds ago. Look at that. Let's get, okay, 18 hours. 18 British special tracked deploys the border. Special tracks. Track mounted. Yeah. Okay, tanks basically. 18 British tanks. Okay. 13 seconds. The Russian army of 190,000 men prepares for total invasion. That's huge. Look at this. Armageddon begins. Officially announced. Let's take a look at this.
Dear listeners, welcome to the Deep Journal channel. By subscribing to our channel, you can be informed about detailed reports every time. The USA, by reacting very harshly to Russia's attitude, has thrown itself into the fire in Eastern Europe. President Joe Biden made very harsh statements today, and it was announced that many more troops would be sent to Europe. While this news fell like a bomb on the agenda, intelligence reports are being published that Russia's shipments to the region continue. While Russia is sending hundreds of warplanes and combat helicopters to Belarus, it is stated in intelligence reports that the activity of the SRU army on the Ukrainian border is headed towards the Ukrainian border. According to Reuters, Russia's total army presence on the Ukrainian border and Belarus stands between 169,000 troops and 190,000 troops. The North Atlantic Alliance and the USA reacted very harshly to this buildup. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called on Russia not to invade Ukraine at the United Nations Security Council, which convened on the military buildup of Russia on the Ukrainian border upon the call of the United States. In his speech, Blinken also touched upon the possibilities that Russia could use as an excuse to attack Ukraine. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin, who represented Russia at the meeting, handed out documents proving that Ukraine committed war crimes. Vershinin said, "Due to the unfounded claims of Western countries, the UN Security Council is turned into a circus and shamed." On the other hand, the British Ministry of Defense has published Russia's possible invasion plan for Ukraine, stating that Russia may invade Ukraine without any further warning, following the latest intelligence reports. The US has asked Russia to withdraw its warplanes and headquarters in the border area. It was emphasized that if an issue that can be resolved with diplomats causes war, it will harm everyone. In statements made by the White House today, a senior official in the Biden administration said that no Russian troops were withdrawn from the Ukrainian border, opposing Moscow's claim that some forces were withdrawn. "We now know it was false," the official said, adding that as many as 7,000 troops have joined the 150,000 already near the border in recent days. Of course, this does not include the 30,000 troops stationed in Belarus. The statements made by the White House and the data reported by Reuters show similarities. In this context, the total troops of Russia on the Ukrainian border and Belarus are almost 190,000 troops. If you remember, there were around 130,000 Russian troops on the Ukrainian border, according to the data a month ago, and senior military officials stated that 70% of the army needed for a possible invasion of Ukraine was completed. Today's data shows that the required number of troops has reached 100%. In addition, the information that the Donetsk and Donbass region was heavily bombed on Thursday and Friday is growing like an avalanche on social media and has been carried to the global media. There is talk of the heaviest bombardment of recent times in the Donetsk and Donbass region. However, Russia, Ukraine and the North Atlantic Alliance did not make an official statement on this matter. It is mentioned that the environment in the region is getting very hot, and there is also talk of the evacuation of the people from Donetsk to Russia, but we will share all the details with you when the official announcement is made.
Good enough. As you can see, it's escalating, all right? So that's good enough for this week. Let's see what happens over the weekend. We'll come back on Monday. We'll have more details, all right? On the way out, let's see. Let's go back to Joel. Can you get there? No. Let's see. Joel 3 and 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Boom, right there. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. All right? Here we are right here. Okay? All right? And this thing is going to, it's going to escalate. We'll see what happens between now and Monday. All right? So with that, we hope that the elect were edified. And with that, we're going to say shalom.